So I've got my plans here, and I printed these out on 8.5 by 14, and it worked out really well that way. The entire wing is 12 pages. You could just print half the wing with 6 pages and double up 2 sheets of foam board, cut them both out at the same time. But that's not how I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the skin. Everything, all the cut lines are on the top of the wing, and all the cut lines for all the motors and everything are on there. They're just hard to see with the camera. I made them very subtle. So I'm going to tile them all out and put them all out and cut them and glue them together. And then after that, I will put the foam board together and put this on top of the foam board and glue it to it. So I will pause the video at the next interval and let you guys know what's going on. Alright, so that worked out. I kind of struggled with parts of it there. It's funny how when you want the paper to come off, you can't get it off, and when you don't want it to, it falls off by itself. So this is Dollar Tree foam board. I don't usually build with Dollar Tree foam board, but since I had to pull the paper off of both sides, that's the main reason I bought it, is because the paper comes off easier for DTFB. So the plan is, I'm going to put a piece of tape down the center here, and I like to do it this way with the paper off because I feel like when you bind 2 sheets together, you get a little more strength out of it this way. So I'm going to tape it down the center, open it up, glue it, then tape the other side. And then after that, I'm going to spray glue my skin onto one side and then cut it out. Now a lot of people have different opinions on the spray glue. So a lot of people say to spray it on the paper, but I have found when I spray the paper with the spray glue that it makes the colors run, and this is what I'll be using today, the 3M77. So when I spray it, you spray it on this side of the graphic, it always messes up the graphic on this side. So what I do is I just hold the can about 16 inches away from the foam, so because the propellant will eat the foam. So I hold about 16 inches away and then spray it on this, and that seems to work out just fine for me. So alright, I'm gonna fast forward again and I'll talk at you in a minute. As you guys seen, I got the graphic centered to the best of my ability, both vertically and horizontally. And then what I did was I put pins in it, and then eventually put tape on the side to hold the graphic down to the foam board. Okay, so then after that, I rolled the graphic up and I put 2 paper clips to hold the graphic out the way for me. Then I got 3 pieces of paper and masking tape, because I'm going to spray this in 2 sections. I'm going to do this side first. I'm going to spray it with the Super 77 and then take this masking tape off, and the masking tape does not damage the foam board. So I'll peel the masking tape off, have this side with just glue, and then roll the graphic down. And then after that, I'll do the exact same thing for the other side. I'll hold the graphic up out the way, spray the rest of the foam with my spray glue, and then neatly roll the graphic down on a nice flat surface. So I am going to take my foam board off camera when I spray it, because spraying that Super 77 from about 14 to 16 inches away, it makes a lot of overspray and it gets all over your arms and everything, and I don't want it all over the background of my table. So I'm going to take it off camera while I spray. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so you can see how I did that side. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And the reason I put paper up here and pinned it down was so that the spray glue doesn't get on the paper, because like I said, it will mess the ink up a little bit. At least that's the experience I've had with it. So I'm going to put some more gloves on and spray the other side, and then lay the rest of my graphic down. Alright, now I have my entire upper graphic glued down to my 2 sheets of foam board. It turned out very nice, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the parts out from the top side, and I've got all my score marks and everything on here. I'm going to cut all these parts out. You see, both fins, both KF airfoils, the main wing shape. I'm not going to make any of my cuts yet on this yet. I do still have to put the skin together for the bottom side of the wing. This is the top. The KF airfoils, they don't need nothing because they're going to get glued right here. And the fins have a skin for the other side. Now the fins for the skin for the other side is oversized a little bit. So once I cut these out, I'll spray glue on the other side of this fin and then place it on here and then trim it down. I got about 5 or 6 millimeters of extra on both my fins there. The fins and the wing are the only pieces of foam board that'll get graphics on both sides, and I don't want to align this huge piece of foam board. I'd much rather do it in 2 or 3 pieces, the wing and the fins. So, well, the motor mounts also will go on a separate sheet, but that's super simple. Alright guys, I'm going to keep pushing forward. I'm going to put the plans together for the bottom side of the wing, and then cut my parts out for the top. Alright, so I've got all my foam board parts completely skinned with my custom skin, and it turned out really nice. I still have yet to cut my motor mount pieces. There's a file that I'm going to supply. This is the template for the motor mounts. And then this, instead of having each motor mount as a separate skin and having to line up the top and the bottom of every single one of them, I just supplied an entire sheet that you're going to cut the motor mounts out with. And this is going to work out better because if you were to put 1806 motors in here, you would have had to have 8 of these custom skins because you would need 4 of these top and bottom. So that'll work out better that way. Now with this thing, this is for the center here, for the 6 and 7 inch prop slot. I do have another file that I'm going to put in the download for the area where the 1806 motors are, both on the left and the right side of the wing, so that the motor mounts match that area a little bit better. Now, with a skinned airplane, you really only got 2 options to weatherproof them. You can either cover them in tape, which actually works very well. This is 1.5 mil tape. The good thing about that is the better tape for an RC airplane is usually the thinnest tape that you can find, which is also the cheapest. So that works out pretty well. The tape does a good job at weatherproofing. On this model, I'm going to use the Doculam. This is an iron-on film. It's school laminate. I believe it's 1.3 mil. I'll leave a link in the description of the model when I upload it to what I used. This works pretty good. It is an iron-on covering. It's a little bit more time consuming. So I'm going to keep pushing on. I'm going to cut out my prop slots and get some of the rest of it ready. And I'm also going to start ironing on my clear laminate. Before I glue this thing together, I'm going to iron it on to all the parts while they're flat, because it'll be a little bit easier. I might do these in tape just because that would be easier, but I'm definitely going to iron it on the wing. So, alright, I'm going to keep fast forwarding, so stay tuned guys, see how it turns out.